Hi guys, welcome to my channel and to my 2019 makeup collection. Here comes everybody's favorite collection video. Today we're talking about eyeshadow palette. I have a ton of eyeshadow palettes. Disclaimer, you get a pillow, get a snack, alcoholic beverage, hot beverage, whatever you're into, and let's go ahead and get into it. I'm kind of going to be working my way through by like the size of the palettes. I'm not going to give you too much information on any one, but I'm going to show them all to you so that you can request any videos below or ask any questions. And here we go. For my birthday, my hubby took me to Sephora, and one of the things that I chose was the Natasha Denona Mini Star Palette. This does have 5 pans, and it has 3 shimmers and 2 mattes. Next, my hubby picked out at Sephora for my birthday the Viseart Petite Pro 2. I am overwhelmed with just how spoiled I am. This does have 8 shades, 4 mattes, and 4 shimmers. Next is the Huda Beauty Mauve Obsessions palette. This is a 9-pan palette, and you do have 6 mattes and 3 shimmers. And then, as a part of the Patrick Star Miso Sheet collection, I did get the quad called Stay With Me. You do get 4 shades, obviously, because it's a quad. You have 2 shimmers and 2 mattes. Next is the Wet n Wild Comfort Zone palette. This is the reformulated 10-pan palette. I kind of wish I had the original from what other people say, but you do have 2 mattes and 8 metallic or shimmer shadows. Next, I have the Rimmel Magnifies Jewel Rocks edition. This does have 12 shades in the palette. 3 are matte and 9 are shimmer. Next, going into medium palettes, let's go ahead and start with Anastasia Beverly Hills. I do have 5 of them. I have the Holiday Palette from 2018, which is the Prism Palette. All of these palettes do have 14 pans in them, and this one has 7 mattes and 7 shimmers. Next, we have the dreaded Subculture palette, which I actually really love, and in this one, you have 11 mattes and 3 shimmers. Next is the Classic Modern Renaissance, and again you have 11 mattes and 3 shimmers. Some consider Tempura a shimmer, but it's barely a satin in my opinion, so I don't count it as a shimmer. Then we have the Soft Glam palette. In this palette you have 5 shimmers and 9 mattes. This is definitely a warm tone palette. And then my newest is the Sultry palette, and this one has an even split just like the Prism palette. This was the Holiday palette for 2018, so you do have 7 shimmers and 7 mattes, and this is predominantly a cool tone palette. Next are my 2 smaller Lorac palettes. I do have the Lorac Ocean Sunset or Unzipped Ocean Sunset palette. You do get 10 shades in this palette, and 5 are matte and 5 are shimmer. Much bigger than your typical Lorac pans. And then this was a gift from my sister for my birthday last year, and this is the Lorac California Dreaming palette. Really didn't hear a lot about this one on YouTube. This does have 12 pans of eyeshadow, and 4 are shimmer and 8 are matte. Definitely another cool tone palette here. And then we have the winner for the Neutral Palette of the Year from my JourneyInBeauty Awards in 2018, and that is the Persona Identity palette. This is beautiful. You get 12 shades in here, again, even split, 6 are matte, 6 are shimmer. I love every shade in this palette. If I could buy everybody in the world this palette, I would do it. It's amazing. Next, we have the Milani Pure Passions palette. Again, we have 12 shades, 6 mattes, and 6 shimmers. This gives me total Urban Decay Naked Heat vibes, and I really like it. And I have one palette from Face Candy, and this is the Atlantis palette. This was the clapback at Tarte for their April Fool's joke last year. Face Candy monopolized on that and actually created the palette. And this one you do again get 12 pans, however 5 are shimmer and 7 are matte. I love this blue, teal, green color story. Next was an extra gift with purchase that my girl Angela received, so she passed one on to me. And it is the Makeup Revolution Fierce as Fire palette, and this is really, really pretty and good quality. I don't believe you can purchase this one, but it is a part of my collection. And then in December in my Boxy Luxe, I did receive the Suva Protege palette. And it does have 6 shadows and 2 highlighters, 3 shimmer shadows, and 3 matte shadows. I also received from BoxyCharm the Ace Beauty Grandiose palette. This is really pretty. 8 shades in here, 4 matte and 4 shimmer. Next is the Alamar Reina del Caribe palette, volume 1. You do have 4 mattes and 4 shimmers. My very first palette I believe I received from BoxyCharm was the Winky Luxe Kitten palette. I do really love this palette. This palette does have 9 shades. You have 5 shimmer and 4 matte. And this one right here is a duochrome. And then also from BoxyCharm, I received the ColourPop Element of Surprise palette. This is a 12 pan palette, and it is an even split, 6 matte and 6 shimmer. Keeping on with medium palettes, I do have the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. I miserably failed at panning this last year, but I did get some good use out of it, and I don't hate it anymore, which is always a good thing, right? There are 12 shades in here, 3 mattes and 9 shimmer. Next is the Urban Decay Born to Run. I love this palette. There are 21 shades in this palette, 11 shimmer to my estimation, and 10 mattes. Absolutely beautiful. Next is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. There are 18 shades in the palette, and it is an even split, 9 shimmer and 9 matte. This was my first high-end palette, so I'll always have a near and dear place in my heart. Next is the Too Faced Clover palette. I really love this one. It's a very colorful. Again, we have 18 pans with an even split, 9 shimmer and 9 mattes. Next is the Too Faced Gingerbread palette. It came out for holidays in 2018. Again, we have 18 pans in this palette, and to my estimation, this has 8 shimmers and 10 mattes. That was way too hard to get out.
My brain is drowning in numbers.
Next is the Too Faced Chocolate Gold palette. This palette has 16 pans in it, and there are 4 mattes and 12 shimmer or glitter shades. Very beautiful. My most recent Too Faced purchase. Next is a palette that hubby picked out all by himself for my birthday, and of course it was because it was half off and my husband is a deal hound, but it is the Urban Decay Elements palette. You don't really hear much about this on YouTube during the holiday season, but this is the holiday palette from Urban Decay. Looks like this, and you do have 19 shades in here, 4 of which are matte and 15 of which are shimmer. I really love this. There's several duochromes in here, so Be looking for something on this soon. Then we have my Tried and True Lorac Mega Pro 2. This was my Pan That palette for 2018. This palette does have 28 shades in it, 14 matte in the top 2 rows and 14 shimmer in the bottom 2 rows. I still love this palette. Next is the Violet Voss Flamingo palette. This is still available at the time I'm filming, but it is limited edition. You do get 20 shades in here, 9 shimmer and 11 matte. Just look at that beautiful color story. Next we have the BH Take Me Back to Brazil palette. This is a 35 color pressed pigment palette according to BH Cosmetics. You do have a giant black eyeshadow down here and 2 what they're calling transforming shades that you can layer over any of the colors in here. I have no idea what the split is, matte and shimmer, but there you go. New to my collection is the Violet Voss Holy Grail palette. This I received in my Boxy Luxe and I'm very excited about that. This does have 20 shades in it, 12 shimmers and 8 mattes, if I can do math. Then we have the Emily and Makeup Revolution Emily Edit The Wants palette. There are 24 shades in here, 13 of which are mattes and 11 shimmers. This is a good palette, you guys. Controversy aside, I love this palette. Just saying. Next we have the Morphe 35F. This one just kind of languishes in my collection. You do get 35 colors. And this top row here is all matte and the rest are all shimmer. Next we have the BH Zodiac palette. You do get 25 eyeshadows in here plus 1 highlighter in the middle. The outer ring are the baked metallic shadows and these little rectangular shapes are all matte. Then we have my Pan That palette for this year for Pan as Old as Time with the Pantastic Ladies. It is the Jaclyn Hill Morphe palette and there are 35 shades in here. Next is my Urban Decay Distortion palette. I really love this one. You do get 15 shades in here and the only true matte is this black right here. And then I have my only Juvia's Place palette and this is the Deuce palette and you do get 9 shades here. You get 5 mattes and 4 shimmers. And then I have the Bad Habit Athena palette. This palette comes from Shop Hush. This palette does have 18 shades, has 8 mattes and 9 shimmers plus a pressed glitter shade. I don't recommend the pressed glitter shade personally. Then I have my Christmas gift from my girl Angela, which is the BH Royal Affairs palette. Looks like this. So pretty. This palette does have 20 shades, 12 mattes, and 8 shimmers, predominantly cool tone. And last but not least, my BH Cosmetics Weekend Festival palette. Again, 20 shades, 7 mattes, and 13 shimmers. It's a little quick math for me. My brain is aching of numbers. Nice colorful story there. There you go. You've seen my entire eyeshadow collection. I did show in my face palette collection that I have this magnetic palette in here, so the individual shadows in here are counted as a part of my overall pans in my eyeshadow inventory. I just included it in a multi-use palette category. So I do have one more palette to share with you, and that hubby of mine, I'm gonna have to revoke his right to have my Sephora and Ulta passwords, because even after he took me to Sephora and purchased way too many things for my birthday, I got a notification in my email showing my husband had purchased this. That's right, I am now the proud owner of the Natasha Denona Lila palette. It will be here tomorrow, so I wasn't able to show it to you today, but that is what it looks like, and it will be included in the numbers that I give to you now. I think we'll leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this collection video, peeking into the nooks and crannies of my eyeshadow world, and I hope all of your makeup days are beautiful eyeshadow makeup days, and I will see you in my next video tomorrow. Mwah.